From a biological standpoint, I think we eat, if we eat in a state of stress or guilt, it affects our nervous system. The lack of education about our food and where it comes from is limited. I think if you took the time to dig, you would learn a lot and you would be very shocked. I am against bottled water. You think about it's being bottled and then in a lot of cases sitting in heat or in sunlight and breaking, that plastic is breaking down into the water. How long has that been sitting in that bottled plastic, you know? Greenwashing is huge here. I've seen really beautiful looking organic almond milks or barista milks, and then you look at the back label and there's like 50 ingredients in them that you don't even know what those are. What are those ingredients? Any diets, no matter how healthy people claim them to be, or anything that claims to be a one-size-fits-all approach, just isn't, it doesn't work like that.
Shannon Strickland, energetic holistic nutritionist and founder of Amber Nutrition, an artist and a mother of two. Welcome to the New Earth Frequency podcast.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Shannon, I invited you to be on the podcast because as someone who, over the last decade, I feel like I've been very cavalier with my diet and the toxins I consume. I've had the attitude of mind over matter. So I was very keen to talk to you today because I don't think that's quite correct. So my first question to you is, what role does our thoughts and beliefs play in how food affects our body?
You know, I love that question because it goes right into what I practice, and it goes right to the heart of what I believe about food and healing. I absolutely think that our thoughts go into our food and our emotions and our beliefs. They can change how food interacts in our bodies. So there's two veins to that. There's a biological standpoint, and then there's a more spiritual side to that question. So from a biological standpoint, I think we eat, if we eat in a state of stress or guilt, it affects our nervous system. Well, both affect our nervous system, but stress and guilt affect our nervous system in a way that causes our body to go into fight or flight mode. So when that happens, it withdraws blood from our gut, and then because of that, our digestion slows down, and then we might not absorb as much nutrients as we normally would if we were in a relaxed state of not feeling guilty or nervous. So when we sit down and take a breath and just bless our food, you know, there's many religions or spiritual practices where you just sit and take a breath and thank whomever for your food and the nutrients going into your body. You can say a mantra, you can sing a song, just whatever it is to kind of slow your nervous system down and go into a state of relaxation before you take that first bite. You can enable the enzymes in your body to actually allow a flow and intake of your food, where it digests it properly and you absorb the proper nutrients.
It's fascinating. I've always thought as well, you know, when you eat seriously delicious food, like borderline orgasmic, and, you know, I've always thought that but you know it's bad for you, you know, as in bad, it's packed full of, you know, cream and cheese and, you know, pastries, etc. But I've always thought if you have such a high, like, serotonin rush, you know, from that food, like it really awakens all your taste buds. I was like, surely there's something chemically going on that kind of counteracts some of the stuff that's bad for you. Do you subscribe to that?
Yeah. Yeah, I I know exactly what you're talking about. So, yeah, it goes back to your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. Um, you know, if somebody, like, for example, if somebody eats red meat and believes that it's grounding and nourishing, their body is going to mirror that experience. But if they eat it thinking this is bad for me, or I feel guilty, the internal conflict changes the chemistry of the meal. So the same food can become a very different experience depending on the energy we bring to it. So if you're having that orgasmic experience, it's going to react with your body in that way. Not to say that you're necessarily getting a ton of nutrients from it, but energetically it's giving you happiness and you're digesting it well, at the very least.
It was my theory, but
Yeah.
sorry to hear that from you. So, as someone who's been on a journey yourself, what drew you to nutrition? And I guess was there a low point on your journey that made you very passionate about food education and beyond food?
Yeah, absolutely. So I I started my nutrition journey as a kid, actually. We were quite a foodie family, and I was taught to try all kinds of different foods and eat healthy and, try to stay away from sugar and processed things. Uh, the food industry has changed since then. And, that stuff was around then as well in the 80s, man. Like, it's the 80s. So, it was a different world. But I was still very conscious where I grew up and the community in which I grew up. It was farming, and you kind of grew your own food and relied more on co-ops or other farms to get your food locally. Um, and so fast forward a bit into my teens, I ate horribly through college, fast food, all the things, anything you can afford to eat, basically, right? And after that, I came to a really quick realization post grad that I needed to change my lifestyle and the way I ate. So I dove deep and got into a routine where I was exercising and eating more healthy. After that, I actually got diagnosed with hypothyroid and Hashimoto's disease. And so from there, I was told not much. I was just told that I had this problem after a blood test. And I had been progressively gaining and gaining and gaining weight. And I had no idea why. I was exercising. I was running up to like 5 miles 3 times a week, maybe sometimes even every day. And I was eating very healthy, or at least what I thought was healthy for me. So I was at a loss and, yeah, was told this was happening. From there, I was told I had to take a pill every day for the rest of my life to cure this, or at least stay on top of this and stop gaining weight. So yeah, from that experience, I kind of started diving into things myself and educating myself about this disease because the doctors didn't tell me, nor did I feel like they had time to tell me. And then I realized very quickly that food actually could help heal this. And so that's when I became inspired and kept going with nutrition.
If the average person knew what you knew or everything you know about food, what do you think would shock them the most?
Hmm, that's a loaded question. I think that the average person, unfortunately, doesn't know what they should know. The lack of education about our food and where it comes from is limited. I think if you took the time to dig, you would learn a lot, and you would be very shocked by what you learn. There's many layers to this, much like an onion. I could get into like the political side of it, the environmental side of it, and then the side that is for each person, each client. So I think that you would find that processed foods are incredibly bad for you, that the system is poisoning you in many, many ways. That green labeling is a big thing, and non-GMOs and all of the whole organic industry is important, but you have to be aware, right? You have to be educated. So I think that is definitely something that we should address, and that's what I talk about with my clients.
What are the most dangerous things that we're consuming in the home, and including things like household products, which I know is something that you also are, a bit of an expert in?
Yeah, that's a big one. Oh gosh, a lot. Let's see. Laundry detergent, dish soap, dishwasher detergent, your water, your tap water. There are things to consider, like your environment, where you live, where's your apartment, where's your home. So environmental pollutants are a big one that a lot of people don't think of. Are you commuting to work every day? And if you are you on a motorcycle? Are you driving with your windows down? Are you stuck in traffic for many hours? These are all things that you should be thinking about. And then there's the common things like BPA, free containers, plastics, these sort of things that are more common knowledge now, thankfully, these days.
I was speaking to my sister-in-law recently, who went to a cancer conference in Sydney, and one of the oncologists there was talking about plastics and
Yeah.
said that actually we've only really researched, about 40 of the most common plastics, but there's
Yeah.
about 80 others that we're consuming potentially in our daily lives that haven't been fully researched. It's just, when we're not educated even on the 40, let alone not even, there's no research on the 80, and obviously these are just numbers, but it's quite scary when it comes to plastic. I drink a lot of bottled water, and
Hmm.
often, I live in Ibiza, and I'm often
Yeah.
buying plastic bottled water. What's your take on plastic bottled water?
Yeah, it's a hard no for me. We get our water here in Portugal from a local spring, and then we have a filter, a countertop filter that isn't reverse osmosis. There are mixed studies about reverse osmosis. I used to say yes, go for it. Now I don't, just because it strips your water of essential minerals. So definitely get a water filter, and I suggest filtering your tap water, even if it's well water. There's artesian wells and regular wells, and artesian wells, you don't know where your water source is coming from, so I wouldn't trust that either. I know a lot of people who have actually gotten cancer because of drinking from their artesian well water. So yeah, again, it's like an onion, many layers to the question, but simply answered, no, I am against bottled water. You think about it's being bottled and then in a lot of cases sitting in heat or in sunlight and that plastic is breaking down into the water. How long has that been sitting in that bottled plastic? So I have to agree with that oncologist, and the amount of plastic that we consume on a daily basis, even if we're trying not to consume the plastic. It's in our food. It's in the containers that hold our food that we buy in the store. I mean, it doesn't just start with water. It's everything. Now, the flip side is I mean, plastic has been saving lives for many years now in a different way in the medical world and with surgeries and other sorts of realms of health, right? But not when it comes to holistic food and taking care of your body.
I've got a list of 10 items that I'm just gonna run through. I'm gonna call this the fast 10.
Oh
You
gosh.
can tell
Okay.
me
Hold
good or bad.
on. Yes. Go.
Okay. Foil.
Don't put it in the microwave. No.
No,
No, for real though. A chemical film is on there.
right. Okay, so in terms of heavy metals, does it leach heavy metals onto food?
There have been studies that have claimed that. I'm not going to be the person to definitively say that, but I have definitely read about that. Yes.
There's a chemical layer that I hadn't considered. Plastic we've covered, but let's talk about BPA free.
Yeah. BPA free containers. Great. Yeah. It's still plastic.
Yep.
So,
It's
you
safe.
know, yeah, it's safer. But again, in the end, it's still plastic. I advise my clients to drink out of glass water bottles.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Tin cans.
Chemically lined on the inside, there's a protective film so that the food doesn't uh, leach against the aluminum, right? Because they're sitting on this shelf for so long. So you have to they have to put a liner, a protective liner in there. But instead, the food is absorbing the liner.
Right.
Yeah.
Cow's milk.
What comes to mind immediately? Acidity in your body, but also it's okay if it's pasture raised, organic, um, and it's not horrible for you if you're not sensitive to dairy. I'd prefer you drink whole, real milk over some of these fake milks that have a ton of additives in them.
Fasting of any kind, whether intermittent or long.
Highly recommend. Yes. Yes, is my answer.
Alcohol.
Uh,
In
I love
when I say that, I mean, is drinking in moderation okay, and what is moderation to you?
okay, great. Yes, you can drink alcohol, in moderation. I always say everything in moderation, um, but probably not. Don't drink if you can help it. You know, I drink a glass of red wine maybe once a week, twice a week. It's actually been proven to be really good for women and hormone balancing, actually. Hard alcohol, I would say stay away from if at all possible. Um, just stick to like beer and wine if you can. But any drinking in general is probably not the best for you.
Things like soy milk and oat milk. Non-organic, I guess, but even organic.
Yeah, so greenwashing is huge here. I've seen really beautiful looking organic see almond milks or barista milks, and then you look at the back label and there's like 50 ingredients in them that I don't even like you don't even know what those are. What are those ingredients? Your alternative milks should have 4 ingredients, much like your bread. Anything that has like, over 6 ingredients in them, you should not be consuming.
And bread. I mean, I
Yeah.
love bread. Bread's a real tough one for me.
Yeah.
How bad is
Bread.
it? I'm
Bread
eating it
is
every day.
Yeah. No, bread is fine for you as long as you're not sensitive to it. Like I have a sensitivity to gluten and bread. Um or if you're celiac, obviously. But no, bread can actually be very beneficial for you, but it has to be the right kind of bread, where we need to be specific about the bread we're consuming, right? Like white bread has no nutrients to it. You're basically putting glue into your body, glue and sugar. So you want to concentrate on bread that is fermented, like sourdough, or you should be eating maybe rye. A lot of people say whole wheat, and whole wheat is more nutrient dense for sure, but it won't break down in your body the same way as like a fermented sourdough bread.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Coffee. I know you and I both love our coffee. Is it all right for
I
us?
do. Yeah, it's like the one thing I wish I could get away from, but I cannot.
Can't do it, and I kind of don't want to.
Yeah, don't. I mean, I don't think it's, again, it kind of goes back to what we were first talking about, your opening question. But, and also everything in moderation. Don't be drinking like 6 cups of coffee a day. I do know somebody who does that, and it's so bad. But yeah, like one a day, maybe two. You've got to feel your body out, and it's all about listening to yourself too and your body. Everybody has a different body, and things react differently to each person's body. So I don't think coffee is necessarily horrible for you as long as you drink it responsibly.
So we're all built differently with different body types, different blood types, but kind of like what do we fundamentally need to understand or do when it comes to our diet? You know, for example, is it 3 meals a day, 5 meals a day? Is it fasting every now and again? What's the kind of, I guess, elevator pitch, so to speak, for
Yeah.
the average person? Of course, hard to generalize.
I can't really answer that wholeheartedly, just because I know that each person is so individual, and the bio-individuality, it's like the reason why I do what I do. But as a general whole, yeah, stay away from refined sugar. Um, don't don't have too much caffeine. Learn how to read labels. That's a huge part of what I do. If you can't pronounce any of the ingredients on the back of that label, don't don't buy it. Learn how to filter through greenwashing. Um, don't drink tap water unless it's filtered, and you know, have plants in your house that help filter air. If you don't have an air filter, be conscious about your clothing, and what you're putting on your skin, because your skin is your biggest organ. Um, and eat the rainbow. That's a good one.
Do you think your body's wisdom has a yes or no that you can tap into when it comes to food and what?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Body dowsing is a very effective for muscle testing, but also for, I think, listening to your body about food. You can ask your body what it needs, and it will answer you for sure. And that's always changing, right? So that kind of leads into like fad diets and like a whole realm of uh, how, you know, you should be eating as an individual. Some people choose to go vegan. Some people choose to do meat. Some people choose to just do vegetarian, and it all kind of ebbs and flows. And I think a healthy way of looking at those is by listening to your body, and and a certain chapter of your life you could be a vegan. In the next chapter of your life you could move to eating pescatarian, right, having fish or just poultry. And then your body might tell you, hey, I need some red meat, and you could just totally discard that way of eating and do it that way. And I think as we age, we start learning that there's not one way of eating. It's kind of a bit of a roller coaster ride, in a good way. And you learn to listen to yourself a little better.
Is there a popular health belief out there that you think is completely false?
Hmm. Um,
Or maybe something that you used to subscribe to, but now you don't.
Yeah. I would say, and this kind of goes off of what I just said, bad diets, any diets, no matter how healthy people claim them to be, or anything that claims to be a one size fits all approach, just isn't, it, it doesn't work like that. Like, we are all individual people, and each person is so different, and your bio-individuality is a real thing, and it's important. And um I something I teach my clients is to listen to yourself a lot. Like, we'll work together and build a relationship where you are listening to your body, and you're telling me how you're feeling you would like to eat this week. And along with that is like the fad. You can't do a fad diet. I can't
I love
subscribe to those.
I love that, you listen to what are you craving, or what is your body telling you this week, and you work with that as a nutritionist. I've never heard anyone do that, but I love that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Great way and
thank
work.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really important.
I mean, there's many things we've covered, but what's the kind of big thing that you think the food industry doesn't want us to know? That's a big question. And players in the food industry, it's not one big organization.
Yeah, no, I'm laughing because it's like pretty much everything that the food industry doesn't want you to know.
Mm.
Um the spraying of chemicals and pesticides on foods. And if we want to get really specific, it's bread. So you asked about bread before and the quick answers. And so even in Europe and the US, grains are a little different, but they are all sprayed with pesticides at least once.
The
And
wheat,
so
the wheat that the bread is made from
the
is sprayed.
wheat, yes,
Yep.
while it is growing. In the
Oh,
United States, it's the soil it's growing in. And then it's sprayed again while it's growing. And when it comes to time to cut it, it's sprayed again. And then when it is broken down into the flour, it is then doused again because of shelf life. They want it to live on the shelf for as long as possible. So don't trust your flowers, unless they're organic, I say.
so even if
Even
you
if you,
make your own bread, if you're not buying, I guess, clean flour, organic flour that hasn't been sprayed many times through the layers of production, then you're still consuming, you know, not very good bread for yourself. Right.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff like that going on behind the scenes. In fact, the EU just passed, well, actually, they passed it, I think, in 2022, if I recall correctly. They just passed a law allowing for insects to be put into processed foods. So, as an added piece of protein.
And so they're actually allowing insects
Yeah,
that
they're
to
in there. It's been happening. And so now
the
they just
insects.
passed.
Right.
Yeah.
What does the
Typical.
insect do?
It's supposed to add added protein, or it's a protein, not really sure. That's the question, isn't it? Like, why is palm oil in everything? It really doesn't need to be. Why are we killing rainforests for palm oil? That doesn't need to be in our oat milk or our almond milk, you know? So that is the question. Why is that in there? And these are one of the things where it's like, if you really start digging, you find that these are like real laws that have been passed and allowed. Like, insects are allowed to be in our food, our processed food.
Goodness. I
Yeah.
mean, it just feels very difficult to eat completely cleanly, unless you're growing your own food, and
Yeah.
and obviously then it's beyond food, it's the toxins around us, the environments, but I guess all we can do is the best we can. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think back to the first question around our thoughts and beliefs, not bringing fear into it. not, bringing intention into it. Well, if you are going to bring intention, bring a positive intention
Yeah.
and in the wisdom of your body. What is your view on supplements? Because it's, I get targeted a lot with ads. I'm sure everybody else does with these supplements, hormone supplements. It's very overwhelming. I used to take them all. Now I've gone back to just a basic, women's
Yeah.
multivitamin. What's your take?
Yeah, I am in my practice I don't do a lot of supplements. I truly believe that everything's connected and you can get everything you need from food to heal your body and your mind and everything. But that being said, I do recommend taking like a daily multi like you're doing. Um, if you're pregnant, of course, or trying to get pregnant, taking prenatals, that's a huge one. Lots of omega-3s but all of that can also be from your food. So it's actually more potent when you eat food to give yourself your daily vitamins. So supplements are great if you need to.
So if someone followed you around for a week in your home, what would they be most surprised to discover about, I guess, the food, but also just your home, I guess the products that you have in your home?
Uh, oh man. Well, having a little baby, they would be like, "Oh, she's crazy." But but no, lots of food prep because you have to do that. You just have to if you want to eat clean and healthy. Food prep, there's a routine. Like you just gotta and if I'm out of the routine, it's a total shit show for me. um, but yeah, so you've got to set up a routine. They would see immediately there's a routine to my life every single day. Um, it's very well organized. We grocery shop on certain days. I food prep on certain days. There's lots of plants around the house. There's dehumidifiers. There's a bowl of fruit always on the table. Um, I use and make my own face cream and deodorant and laundry detergent and a house cleaner. I make my own. And these are things that I also offer to my clients. Um, yeah, I don't know if anyone would be surprised by that, but that's what it is.
Well, I think maybe we need to do a whole other episode on, how can we make our own face cream and washing detergent. And I personally hate dishwashing liquid. I know I can, it feels like in my lungs, it
Yeah.
feels, I have a very strong reaction to the toxicity in
Mm,
laundry liquid. So I
yeah.
try to go on the more, natural, but then of course sometimes your clothes don't wash as well. So I would love to do a separate segment where we can
Absolutely.
you make those. So,
Yeah.
so many more questions,
I
but
know.
I think we're up for time. But I would
Okay.
love for you to share how can people connect with you, find out more, and what services do you provide people?
Yeah, so you can find me on my website at www.amba.com or definitely follow my Instagram, my IG account because I um I post a lot of well, I repost right now a lot of recipes from other IG accounts, but lots of information there, just to even get you through your week for like an easy, simple, healthy uh, meal to make. And I'm trying to get better about doing my own stuff on there. So you'll see me on there hopefully sooner than later. What I offer people is a comprehensive health assessment if you prefer that. If not, I do personalized nutrition plans, targeted health support, ongoing coaching and support. So I've had clients for a year or more, um, or people who just come back to revisit things. And then, of course, education and empowerment.
And people can learn more about ambernutrition.com.
See,
And
yes,
they can connect
sorry.
with you and book a session through your site. or through
Yes,
contacting you via email?
absolutely. You can book a session through amba.com, or you can just DM me on Instagram.
Shannon Strickland, thank you so much for your time today. I found that very, illuminating and very motivating for me to improve my diet. Like I said, I'd love to do a follow up and learn more about how we can make our own household products as well that are
Ooh,
safe.
I would love that. And yeah, thank you so much. There's so much more. I could spend just hours talking to you about it all. So I look forward to some more time.
Yeah. Thank you, Shannon, and thank you everyone to listening. And we'll pop the links in the description below.
Thank you so much, Jen.